Imagine we live in a world where Travis Kelce wins an Oscar and Harrison Ford doesn't.
I think Travis wouldn't wanna live in that world either, to be honest.
Oscar winner Travis Kelce.
I
I'd throw
Look,
up.
I hope for everybody's success in what they wanna do in life, and if that's what he's trying to do, go for it, man. I'm all for it. I'll be right there rooting for you. But by the way, buffoon is a noun, and it's a ridiculous but amusing person, a clown.
Boom. Tell
So
me that
call
guy's not
him
a buffoon.
calling him a clown. I would say Jason Kelce is more of a buffoon than Travis Kelce.
Well, it depends
Jason
on how much booze is in him. Did you see him at that parade? Hey, everybody, welcome to Nerdy and Nice. This is our second episode of 5,000, so buckle up. But we are very excited to get into this week's show. First of all, I'm John. Thank you for joining us. And with me, as always, is Lacey. Lacey,
Hey.
how, on a scale of 0 to 10, how nerdy are you feeling today?
11. We've had a very good week so far. First episode's out there. People are really liking it, which means so much to us.
Mm-hmm.
This was definitely a passion project, as JJ Abrams JJ Abrams would call it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, I'm super pumped, nerdy, ready to talk about all the things.
Yeah. And if you're watching the video version of this on our channel, that's youtube.com/@TRB podcasts, where you'll find us on Nerdy Nice, but also us on our Star Wars podcast, The Resistance Broadcast. But also, this podcast has its own audio feed. So if you want to check out the audio version, just look up Nerdy and Nice on your favorite podcast app and subscribe to us there. And if you don't mind rating us, that'd be really cool too. But we just want to thank everybody who has listened or watched our debut episode. Uh, Shocking to both of us, we know we have a very strong audience with the Resistance broadcast. We did not assume, rightly, we did not assume that audience would transition over. We're not sure how many did actually, but our debut episode ranked on Apple Podcasts right out of the gate. We started at around 114th out of TV and film podcasts in the country and moved all the way up to inside the top 100, nestled in at number 98. So thank you to everybody who just gave us a shot, listened, maybe sent it to a friend and said, hey, remember that Star Wars podcast I always listen to? Well, now they're talking about other stuff, so check it out. However you found us, thanks a lot. We're here to have a good time.
We
Because
appreciate
why,
it.
Lacey? Why, Lacey?
I don't know, John, why?
Because Mondays are for the nerds, baby. That's right. Mondays are rough. Mondays are rough. Even like a good Monday, you're like, oh, it's Monday. And it's like whether you're in college and you're studying for finals or you're just at your job and you're like, man, I wish, I wish I became a painter. I don't know, whatever you got going on. Mondays can be a pain in the neck. So we are claiming Monday for the nerds because we're all nerds and we're here to make our Mondays a little bit better. And that's what our job is here today, Lacey. So let's kick things off by talking about one of my favorite actors from a personality perspective, Michael Shannon, who I think made his acting debut in Groundhog Day. He had a very small role in Groundhog Day. But here he is. He's had a great career so far. He was awesome in Knives Out, Rian Johnson's movie, obviously playing General Zod in Man of Steel. Plenty of great roles in his career and a lot more to come. But he was at the Met Gala and Shakira's there on the steps with her gown and everyone's taking photos. And here comes Michael Shannon in the tux walking up the stairs right into frame going, yeah, it's me. I can't talk. Nothing interesting. And he's holding a bag of Lay's potato chips. And,
Like a half-eaten bag with
and
like
the
a
girl's like, are those potato chips? And he's like, come on. I thought that made me laugh so hard. So if you haven't checked out the video clip, just look up Michael Shannon Met Gala and you'll find it. It is so perfect because he's so like doesn't care, which is amazing. And it's not that he doesn't care about the event. He doesn't care about his self-importance. He's like, you don't need to talk to me. Nothing important. It's me. Yes, I just want to eat my chips. I don't know if he was like stoned. Who knows?
I feel like what happened was he didn't realize that for the Met Gala, which is held on, I believe, the first Monday of every May, it's the big event to raise money for the museum. It's run by Anna Wintour from Vogue, and tickets this year were 75 grand a piece. They are big ticket items. But the big thing on social media and in pop culture is that everybody dresses up in these crazy designers and these dresses, and there's a theme. But the big moment for the Met Gala is the red carpet, which is these big stairs that go up to the gala. Um, I have a feeling he rolled up and he was like, "How do I get into this thing?" And they're like, "Oh, just go up the stairs." Not realizing that like the stairs were not just like stairs into the event, they're like the red carpet. So like he turns the corner to go up the stairs and he's like, "Wait a second." And he's already committed. He's
Yeah,
already made the turn
got his
on
chip.
he was probably like, "Wait, hold on. This is not where I wanted to go." But he's already there. So he's just like, "Okay, I'm just gonna go up the side." And then as soon as people figured it out, it was just too much. And he had to acknowledge, like, "Hey, hi, it's me. Bye." Like
Oh, yeah. He goes, "It's me. Hey, I can't talk." And he's getting he's further and further away from them. So then he's like,
Mhm.
"We got nothing to say. There's nothing interesting." And she goes, "Are those chips?" That's my Zod. Terrence Stamp, the first Zod, great. Michael Shannon, man, this dude is so good. He's carved from the same cloth as like Bill Murray in terms of that very casual dryness, and
Mhm, mhm.
he was in Groundhog Day with him, and I think he was very heavily influenced by him. But he's one of those actors I would watch him in anything, and just seeing him how he interacts in this big, like you say, this very fancy gala with these expensive tickets with a full bag. It was the full size Lay's potato chips,
Half eaten.
clearly rolled up as though like he ate half of it on the way over in a limo. So there's probably a limo somewhere
But didn't
in New
leave them.
York. What?
He
What?
ate them, but didn't leave the bag behind. Like, he's like, "I'm not leaving this
He took
bag."
the bag because he wanted more later, but there's clearly some crumbs happening in that limo, and just absolutely fantastic. Although knowing him, maybe he like Ubered there. Who knows?
But the thing
But
to know about that is that oftentimes a lot of the big internet memes that happen for the year are from that event. So, like, Jason Derulo fell down the stairs, and that's a meme people use all the time, or, like, a lot of Zendaya's dresses of, like, how beautiful she looks all the time is, like, Zendaya's always slaying and things like that. A lot of memes come out of, the Met Gala, and this was definitely one of them. That was, like,
oh
one of
my
those
god,
memorable moments. Because this year there weren't that many memorable moments. It was kinda lame, to be honest, but this was definitely one of those funny things which didn't even mean to be intentionally funny.
but because it probably doesn't work as well if Shakira's not there at the top, like three at the top step in the middle, like getting
Yeah,
photographed. I
trying to
love
be all
Shakira.
yeah.
I love
Yeah,
Shakira, but she's in the in the mode that you're supposed
in
to
the
be in,
frame, yeah.
and then he walks in front of it because he's walking in front of the press line, and
Mhm.
I just love it's like out of The Simpsons. All his voice is trailing off. He's like, "Not interesting, nothing." So good, and the bag of chips. Like, check it out, people. I'm telling you, if you want to laugh and have a good time, uh, Michael Shannon, Met Gala, enjoy. All right. Might be a nice little segue for us as we're going from one General Zod to a different iteration of his enemy. But Lacey, why don't we get into our first segment that we call "What's Happening"?
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Enough, I get the point.
Yeah, so this is the part of the show where we get into what's happened this week in pop culture. So all the things you need to know, we've got them for you. Don't worry. Uh,
Yeah.
as John alluded to, the first story is that we got a first look at David Cornsweat. I still think this is a weird name. As Superman in next summer's July 11th, 2025 DCU launching Superman. So we got a first image of this guy. Speaking of memes, as I did a couple minutes ago, this one did spring a lot of memes. But John, what did you think of this image of Superman? You're probably the bigger Superman fan out of the two of us, which is funny because you love Seinfeld, Jerry Seinfeld loves Superman, and you also love Superman.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up as a little kid watching Superman 2 was my favorite Superman movie as a kid. It's when Superman fights the three from Krypton, General Zod, Non, and forget the girl's name. But anyway, I've always grown up as a Superman fan, a Batman fan, and like funny story. I don't know if I've ever told anyone this, but when I was in kindergarten, I had these Superman pajamas, and they had this little cape that you could Velcro, so it comes off and it
They
comes
still
on.
have those.
They do,
Yeah,
and I would like pretend I was flying or pretending I was Superman, and I
Mhm.
wanted to. I don't know. I feel like my son Johnny today is way smarter than I was when I was 5, but I thought I would be able to convince my classmates in kindergarten that I was Superman if I wore the pajamas under my clothes. So my mom, she got me dressed for school. I was in my room. I got undressed, put my Superman jammies on, and put my clothes over it, and tried to go to school to show people that because Clark Kent had the tear
Mhm.
shirt. You see the S. I wanted to convince kids. So I've been a Superman fan for a long time.
Yes, you have.
So the image, if you don't mind pulling it up again.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm sure our audio listeners have seen this already, but it's David Cornsweet, James Gunn putting out the first image, and it's him seemingly getting dressed, putting his boots on as some sort of chaos is happening in the sky with pink lasers and orbs, and clearly over the city, I assume, is Metropolis. I'll say this. The suit looks very real. It looks very tangible and physical, which I like. Because with Man of Steel, most of the scenes with a cape, it was CG for Henry Cavill, so I didn't have to worry about any clutter. This looks like a really deep cloth cape here. I'm sure they'll use CG for some of the flying scenes, but I think he looks great. It reminds me a little bit of Homelander from The Boys on Amazon, in the color of the blue and also sort of the aesthetic of the costume.
I was gonna say the texture, very
The
much so.
texture, yep. But I think he looks great. I think he looks like Superman. I believe that this is Superman that I'm looking at, especially because it's an actor I'm not very familiar with. And I like that I don't know what this is. And again, this might not be even in the movie. James Gunn could have just said, like, I want to stir the pot a little and get some buzz going. I'm going to have this guy sitting down, putting on a boot, because who in their right mind debuts their brand new Superman with him sitting in a chair, which looks like it's at an IKEA, and putting on his boot? You would
He
think it
looks
would
like
be
he's in a
you would think it'd be him
Payless.
flying, or like the Henry Cavill like fist pose that they debuted him with. But no, James Gunn went with this, and it has us asking more questions. Here we are talking about it, wondering, but just in a bubble, I think the suit looks good. The S isn't my favorite, but it will grow on me. But I think overall it's a good suit. I think they went with the red trunks. It looks like they did, which is a risky maneuver these days because a lot of people feel that has become very antiquated. But I'm very excited. I believe in James Gunn. I love the Guardians movies. I think this is going to be a hit, at least visually. But I think James Gunn knows how to spin a good story too. And I just really like how David Cornsweet looks. And this is coming from a guy who grew up loving Chris Reeve as Superman, read the comics, and I loved Henry Cavill. Lacey, I've been like beating that drum over and over about how much I love. Like, aside from a solo sequel at Star Wars, Man of Steel 2 was my other that I wanted really badly.
Yeah.
They didn't do it. So fans out there, you can love Henry Cavill and wish he came back, and also be like, this guy looks like he's going to be a good Superman too. And I think he is, and I'm excited. What do you think though, Lacey? I know you already conceded that I'm probably the bigger Superman fan, but are you a Superman fan? And whether you are or not, what do you think about this?
I didn't grow up being a Superman fan. I do remember watching Lois and Clark with my parents on TV with Dean Cain,
Mm-hmm.
and Terry Hatcher.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I think I saw the Brandon Routh one that you don't like, which was what, Superman 2?
Superman Returns.
Superman Returns, that's what it was. Yeah, you don't like that one. I remember I liked that one, and this is gonna be such a Lacey answer. I enjoyed that one because of the possibility that Lois's son was his.
Oh, it was
Like,
his.
when Yeah, so, like, the moment that reveal happened where he pushed the piano and you're like, "Oh, it's his kid." Like, that
Mhm.
to me was, like, hype. Like, I got
Yeah,
so pumped
that's
because I was
cool.
like, yeah, I just, always wanted them to be together. I like the romance aspect of Superman. No surprise. But he looks great. I think the thing that stood out to me the most, the first thing that my eyes immediately go to is that curl, the Superman curl that he
Yeah.
has in his hair.
Mhm.
I appreciate that they did that. I think sometimes, um, little things like that get lost in newer versions of characters, and I like that they kept it.
They didn't do it
I
for Henry Cavill, yeah.
Yeah, I do enjoy that they kept that in, and even though it's not, like, a very specific one, like a Christopher Reeves one, I think it's a nice kind of modern way that they did it, but it was noticeable. I think I like the costume. I think it's a cool costume. I'm interested to see what the whole background means with, like, the laser meteor thing going on behind him.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great teaser. I think that's what the point is. It's to get you talking, and per usual, us fans are going a little crazy about it, but I can't wait to see what James Gunn does because every time he does something, he follows through and everybody loves it, so
Yeah, July 11th next year.
it is gonna be
Um,
the summer blockbuster.
that's a premiere. Who knows where Nerdy and Nice goes? I would love to be able to go to that.
Oh my
I
god, that would be
think
a life unlock achievement for you.
that'd be amazing. Yeah.
Uh, what also might be amazing is a new movie that was announced this past week, movie in 2026 actually. It's a new Lord of the Rings movie is heading to the theaters, which is surprising for me because John sent this movie to me as like a link of like, "Hey, this is happening." And the first knee-jerk reaction for me was like, "No, why is this happening? No way. Absolutely not." And then I realized, "Oh, wait, it's a Gollum movie." It's a Hunt for Gollum movie that's gonna be written and directed or starring and directed by Andy Serkis. And then Peter Jackson is gonna be a part of the process with the filmmaker, um, as a producer, executive producer, but he'll be overseeing, like, creative in the process of making the movie. Um, my initial thoughts to this are, "Okay, sure, because it's Andy Serkis." I love Andy Serkis. Everything that he's done has been amazing, especially recently with, like, Andor, Planet of the Apes has been great. I loved him as Snoke in Star Wars. I know not everybody loved the character Snoke or cared about the character Snoke. I thought he did an amazing job with that. Um, I know him best as Gollum. No one in this world could have played Gollum the way Andy Serkis did. He became that character. Like, the fact that you watch behind the scenes reels and, like, he was eating an actual fish, like, and, like, actually doing the whole, like, acting on a rock, like, being like,
It it is. Yeah.
precious." It's crazy. It's amazing acting. It's amazing character acting. It's just an incredible talent, that many of us don't have. So I appreciate that he's seeing this vision for this film and this story that he wants to tell, and I'm ready to go on the ride. John, what are your thoughts?
Uh, I have to say, like, I am not a big Lord of the Rings fan.
You should be.
I've seen the movies. I understand that they've made novelizations of those movies. I haven't read those yet. I'm kidding. Please don't think I'm that dumb. But uh I don't know about this. I am gonna actually I haven't told you this yet, Lacey, but I'm gonna give the Lord of the Rings trilogy another watch and see if I
Can
like it
we
better
do a
now.
watch together?
I don't know about that. That's a lot of time together,
Oh,
and I
yeah,
just
that
don't
is. Maybe
know.
we should break it into pieces.
Yeah, like, what if we just watch the Sean Bean scenes from the first one and then that's it?
Oh my god.
No?
He's not even
Uh,
the best part of those movies. I don't know why
he
he's
is.
no,
He's
he's
the best
not.
part of everything he's in.
He's the guy that it makes the terrible choice that sacrifices himself because he made the bad choice to begin with. Like, he's the one that caused the trouble and then's like, "I'm gonna sacrifice myself." And I'm like, "Well, you're the one that started all this. Like, the orcs found them because of you."
Well, it's, making peace with your transgressions. But
Yeah. Bleh.
I don't know about this because it feels a little bit like not a cash grab, but it's like,
I was gonna
well,
say money grab.
if Star Wars is gonna keep going without George Lucas, why can't Lord of the Rings keep going on without J.R. Tolkien? So I don't know. The only thing is, like, Andy Serkis as a director, I love Andy Serkis too as a performer, and he seems like an incredible human too. Never met him, but he's always great in whatever he does, whether it's motion capture stuff or just straight up acting. I think he's actually a very underrated actor in general. But his directing credits leave a lot to be desired. Like, he did the Venom sequel, and that
Okay.
was a mess. And then he's done a couple other things, like he did this movie called Breathe that didn't like perform that well, had mixed reviews. I think it might have been a romance movie. But so I don't know, like, that's a lot to take on. Like, first time directing, like, he did a blockbuster in Venom, it made $500 million for the sequel. But like Lord of the Rings is like, it is on that pedestal of like a Star Wars where it's like this very cherished thing. And I know the
Mhm.
Hobbit movies, I guess people didn't love those, but they were good enough, sort of thing. I don't know what
They
they're
were
doing here.
they were mid, I would say.
When does this take place? Is this before the Fellowship of the Ring?
It sounds like it's a prequel because it's The Hunt for Gollum is what it's called, and,
Yeah.
Gollum is the, hobbit that takes the ring that then goes into a cave for
Mhm.
during The Hobbit where, gets it stolen by Bilbo. So
Mhm.
I would assume that this is where he takes the ring and then goes and disappears, and then people are looking for him.
The the cool part of this is that the motion capture stuff in 99, like, you're talking Ahmed Best with Star Wars, but then when he did this for Lord of the Rings, like you were saying, he did everything. It took it to another level, and the fact that the voice he does is not modulated, it's he can organically do the voice. I think seeing him back 25 years later from when he made those original ones is a really cool thing to see, because it's sort of like, it's also that inspiring thing of, it's like it's never too late to still do things you love doing.
Mhm.
And for Andy Serkis to not only be directing this but also playing that role, that part is a bit interesting to me, and maybe that's enough to get people in the seats to see it, let alone that it's going to be Lord of the Rings. They're going to market the heck out of it, and people who even are skeptical of it are still going to go for the spectacle of seeing a new Lord of the Rings movie. So I don't know that this is going to do very well. I'm very unsure about that. But do have some interest because of the Andy Serkis factor. So, and I don't know how much, Peter Jackson's name being on it is important, but sometimes it's tossed on there for financial things, and
His Mortal Engines was terrible, and that was a
yeah,
movie that I really, really wanted to love. Like, the whole
yeah.
concept is interesting, it looked beautiful, but
Mhm.
man, was that movie all over the place, and did it
Yeah.
not do well.
Yeah, and I
So
know
to
we have a
go
bunch
from
of
Lord of the Rings to Mortal Engines, not a good didn't
I
go
I
well.
didn't I did not see that. I did like what he did with the Beatles stuff. But
Sure, sure. Like, Mortal Engines basically was on par with, for me at least, kind of like a Studio Ghibli Howl's Moving Castle, Labyrinth, mystical journey with, like, over the top cities that are moving cities around the planet because of resources.
Oh, I think I've
It
heard of that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I wanted to like the concept so much. But yeah, I saw it and it was bad. It
Meh.
was not good. But yeah, let's get into something that I think is gonna be very good. Um, so news from our buddy Jeff Snyder. He's saying from multiple sources, which our listeners are gonna love, that he's hearing that Glen Powell, Hollywood's new favorite leading man, is in talks to star in the next movie from JJ Abrams, John's buddy, and it's gonna
Uh,
be incredible.
it's gonna be incredible.
John, we talked about Ryan Gosling last week and how he seems to be having the year. Glen Powell is having a year
Oh,
between
man.
Anybody But You that killed it at the box office. Top Gun Maverick prior to that killed it at the box office. He's now in Twisters which
we'll talk about that in a bit.
we're gonna talk about in a bit. But he is having a moment as the new kind of hot leading man. He's also in the Richard Linklater movie that just came out, Hitman.
Yep.
That's supposed to be very good. How
many Glen Powells are there? Like, this guy is he is.
Oh, I thought you were making a joke because Hitman, he plays multiple people.
Oh no, I'm just saying, like, he's everywhere.
He plays like a guy that plays multiple characters. I thought you were making a joke.
Well, I guarantee after Top Gun Maverick, his agent was like, "We're just gonna get you as much big stuff as possible," and that's exactly what's happening.
But I also love that he's doing the smaller rom-coms. He did Anyone But You, and he also did Setting It Up on Netflix.
Oh,
he's so good in it. He's so good. He's so
All
good.
Right. So his agent's like, we had the script pass by us. It's a rom-com. What are your feelings on that? And he's like, well, I don't know. And they're like, it's you're playing alongside Sydney Sweeney. He's like, I'm in.
Oh, stop. They admitted that they played up the romance angle to sell the movie. She went on an interview recently and said that.
I mean, yeah, at the time, but like when he was pitched it by his agent, I'm sure that was a tipping point.
Sorry, I got the title wrong. It's Set It Up. I always say Setting It Up. It's Set It Up. So good. Go see it. 2018. He plays Charlie. It's from Netflix. He was also in the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. Also came out in 2018. He did a bunch of romance movies that year. Keep doing those, please, Glenn. But what do you feel about him teaming up with JJ Abrams?
I love JJ. I think he makes great movies. I mean, granted, we don't know anything about this movie. This could be, JJ Abrams wrote regarding Henry, which is, a drama starring Harrison Ford in the early 90s. That was one of his first big things he did. So this could be an independent think piece. This doesn't mean this is going to be Top Gun Maverick style big. We think of JJ Abrams and we think of big stuff because most of the stuff he does is big. I'm assuming it's going to be a big type of movie, but we really don't know. But I like Glen Powell. The first thing I saw him in was Top Gun Maverick, I think. And I thought he did a great job considering who he was going up against on that cast list. He could have easily been a forgotten character like a lot of these reboot characters are in the shadow of legacy characters. But he held his own and had big moments in that movie and actually had an arc. So Hangman, great character. Now I'm a fan of this guy. You see him in interviews. He seems to have this down-to-earth disposition. Sometimes people can play that up, so I'm not going to sit here and say this guy is, Mother Teresa or anything. But, I like him a lot. I love JJ. So off of just that very limited knowledge, I'm in. I'm very interested.
Yeah, I think you can't hear his name and not think it's going to be something epic. Especially with a guy like Glen Powell, because he is doing these big action films right now. Top Gun Maverick, Twisters. It is worthy of note that before The Rise of Skywalker came out, JJ Abrams was pitching this kind of idea universe to Disney, Netflix, and Apple, where he was going around trying to pitch them on theme park ideas, big franchise ideas that never said what said franchise was. Now, it got put on pause because he was working on The Rise of Skywalker, and I think when that came out, it got a little crazy that he took a step back a little bit, but maybe he's getting back into the game again. He's like, look, I'm looking to build this empire. This is the franchise I want to build. Glen's the guy that I want to see lead that franchise. Do you believe that Jeff is being honest, and do you believe the news that he's saying?
Yeah, I do believe it. I think Jeff Snyder has a lot of really good sources, and he's had a lot of things that came true from what he has reported. These things also change a lot. I mean, who knows whether this could be true, but also not end up happening. Both of those things can be true. So, I am just gonna say that I'm interested to see what this is. JJ was attached to a Superman project a while ago too.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's that, but I think it's going to be something big, and I'm curious to learn more about it because I've been waiting for the next, JJ Abrams movie. I know he did. He produced and may have directed some of that Blue Angels thing that's coming out, like that IMAX for the Blue Angels fighter jet. So I'm interested in that. But anything with JJ, I'm gonna watch and check out. And when you add Glen Powell, the guy's white hot right now, so good for JJ and good for Glenn. I think this could, we need more details, but I'm interested to say the least.
I think it's gotta be something big because this deal that he was working on a couple of years ago was from Deadline reported that it was worth as much as a $500 million, and he was looking to become the next Spielberg, and make some type of franchise universe that everybody knows that is his own creation. So if that is the big idea, right? The big project for JJ Abrams. He's made his name. He did a Star Wars, made $1 billion, did another Star Wars, made a lot of money, all this stuff.
Star Trek. Yeah.
Star Trek, he's done all these other things. Maybe he's like, "Look, I wanna do my own thing now. And this
Mhm.
is my idea that I've been working with this whole time, and I'm gonna get the best people for it." And he'd be making an awesome move by picking Glen Powell because he is so hot right now, in the words of
Mhm.
Zoolander. He's
Yeah.
so hot right now. Because he's in every big hit movie. It's like hit after hit after hit. It's just like Zoe Saldana, who's in everything that makes money.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of making money or maybe not making money, the next story this past week, which is kind of a big deal, is that Bob Iger, CEO of Disney, as we all know, says that the company is shrinking the MCU with a new mission to drop the number of Marvel TV series to 2 a year and the film output to no more than 3 movies a year. Iger said that this is part of Disney's overall strategy to reduce output and focus on quality, a strategy that's, quote, particularly true with Marvel. And he said, we're slowing down to decrease the volume and go with probably about 1 to 2 series a year instead of what had become 4 and reduce our film output to maybe 4 a year or 2 or a maximum of 3. And we're working hard on what path that is. John, do you think this is a good move for Disney to slow down on Marvel?
Yeah, and I'm not here I am wearing a Batman shirt and singing the praises of Man of Steel and Superman. So I'm more of a DC guy, but I do like some of the Marvel stuff. I do think this is not surprising news because Bob Iger's been saying stuff like this for a while. He said that about Star Wars. He said that about, you know, leaning towards sequels right now more than original stuff because of the bankability and the volatility of the box office. Like everything he's saying comes with the number one priority of the bottom line and his shareholders and his legacy. And Bob Iger doesn't want to leave again. No, he already messed up the one time when he handed it off to Chapek, and people hated that guy.
They
And
hated him.
Bob Iger comes back, and people are like, "He's back!" Celebrating from the rooftops that Bob Iger's back. And then the people are like, "Oh, never mind. I hate Bob Iger too because of the strikes and stuff." So now Bob Iger's like, "All right, dust settled on the strikes, still volatile in the box office stuff. I need to figure out my exit plan and how to go out on my white horse like Gandalf," to bring up a Lord of the Rings reference. But so I think Iger is he knows that the MCU peaked for now with Endgame, and then since then it has felt a little bit like when you're at a party and you stayed too long and you're like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta go home. I'm starting to get depressed. And it's like some of these Marvel movies that have come out since Endgame has felt like I don't really care about Black Widow's family. I know that she dies, and that type of stuff. And I know they're gonna take another big swing with like Secret Wars. And I think they're gonna bring back the whole gang and try to cash in one more time. But I think this is the smart move. Disney Plus isn't doing probably as well as they thought. I think it might have just recently leveled off in terms of its revenue. But needless to say, we've seen them converting things like Moana, that became Moana 2. They're converting things to movies. The Lando series of Star Wars is becoming a Lando movie. And I feel like him saying we're reducing the amount of Marvel shows to 2 a year, even that seems like a lot still. And, like they did the Agatha thing. Like I feel like that was a moment in time, and that may have passed. I don't know how that's gonna
It
go.
was very meme
It
moment,
was
like
very
a viral
memey,
moment.
and they've renamed that show 5 times now. It started with "It's Agatha All Along," and then the song wasn't as popular, so they're like, "We're gonna call it this."
Written by the people that did Let It Go, by the way.
Oh, really?
Same
So
team.
I guess my point is I don't know where Marvel's at, but this just makes sense to me. And the amount of movies per year still seems like a lot. So none of this shocks me at all, especially considering what's going on with Disney and the things he said about everything in general, about how, we're pulling back, and it's about how many times has Bob Iger said quality over quantity, Lacey?
I do have to point out that the Variety does a good job laying out that this announcement is at odds with the most recent calendar distributed by Disney, which has 4 Marvel films slated for 2025: Captain America: Brave New World, Thunderbolts, The Fantastic Four, and Blade, and 4 more Marvel movies slated for 2026, which is the 5th Avengers movie, which also includes the 5th Avengers movie. And then Marvel is releasing a single film this year, which is Deadpool and Wolverine, which I'm so excited for, by the way. And historically, the only time Marvel has released more than 3 movies in a year was in 2021 after the studio sat out of 2020 due to the pandemic. So he's saying we're only going to do so many films, and then they're doing 4 a year in the next 2 years. They're doing 8
Well,
films.
I know the Blade movie has been in the works for a long time, and I feel like they've
It was
been trying to.
announced at San Diego in 2019, 21.
I'm surprised it wasn't even sooner than earlier than that, but I feel like they've been trying to land a director, trying to land a lead, and I feel like that one's been in the works for a while. So who knows if all these make it? But the Avengers ones and will and stuff like that. But you make a good point. Stuff already on the schedule. Is Bob sort of looking further ahead? I don't know. It's very interesting, but I don't know. This didn't really surprise me all that much, though. I feel like this is
Yeah.
on par with what they've been doing.
Yeah, 2019 is when they announced Blade.
So 5
So
years ago.
before COVID. Yeah,
Wow.
before COVID. That's the marker for us oftentimes when talking about these things, before COVID.
Before COVID. Yep.
Um, but something that I'm excited is filming and should be coming out, and we're not worried about how many they're making, or at least I'm not, is they announced this week that Wednesday season 2 has started filming, and our buddy, our Star Wars buddy, Jonas Sotomo, who plays Chewbacca in the Star Wars saga, has joined the cast. And so the cast was posting pictures this week. Jenna Ortega, who plays Wednesday, posted a picture of her in her chair with season 2 on it. The cast posted a picture with Catherine Zeta-Jones, and Tim Burton there as well, and a bunch of the other cast members. But Jonas did post a tweet, which was super cool, from Netflix announcing that he's on the cast list, as well as Fred Armisen is doing Fester again. He's coming back, as well as Christopher Lloyd has joined the cast for the newest season of Wednesday. So, John, who do you think Jonas Sotomo is playing?
I don't know, but I didn't know Christopher Lloyd's in it, and he played Fester in the
He did.
first Adams Family movie. That's interesting.
That's what I was trying to point out.
Oh, well done.
Thank you.
I love Jonas. No surprise if you listen to the Resistance broadcast how much we love Jonas, and we're hoping to get him back on that podcast. But so that aside, that's the first thing. I'm happy that he's doing that. I'm sure we'll still, we're going to see him in the Acolyte with Star Wars, of course, as Kelnaka, and then hopefully returning as Chewbacca one day. But I love seeing Jonas getting the work on these high profile things, because Wednesday season 1, I don't know that people went in with low expectations, because you got Tim Burton, and Jenna Ortega has become a star unto herself. Then you had the viral dance paired with the Lady Gaga song that they did, all that. So I'm not surprised that the season 2 is going on. I only watched 2 episodes of the first season, though. So
I
yeah,
loved this show.
I
I
don't know
loved it.
why. Yeah, I
I
don't know
went right
why.
through it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I'll
loved
have
it.
to watch it again now, because I want to watch it with Jonas joining the cast and stuff like that.
Oh,
And I do like
Christina
Jenna
Ricci was
Ortega.
in it. Christina Ricci was in season 1. It was so
Oh
good.
God, that's my Wednesday. I love Christina Ricci.
Yeah, I love how, now that they're announcing season 2 with Christopher Lloyd, I love how Tim Burton brings his people back, And then out of Wednesday, interestingly enough, Tim Burton loved Jenna Ortega so much that now she's playing Lydia's daughter in Beetlejuice.
All right. Yep. Yep.
So Wednesday kind of opened a door for her into Tim Burton's world, and like she's become like his muse. And I remember one of the funniest things about Wednesday was when Jenna Ortega would talk about playing the character, she said, I did a take where I didn't blink once. And Tim Burton said he liked it so much that every take I did, I never blink. So if you go back and watch the show, every time she's talking on screen, she will never blink. And she learned to like not blink for like 3 minutes.
I wonder if that was a famous thing that Anthony Hopkins did in The Silence of the Lambs for Hannibal
Not
Lecter.
blink it because it's creepy, and that's what she said. It's like an uneasy thing that someone doesn't blink. Now I'm like very hyper aware of when I'm blinking.
Anytime he spoke as Hannibal Lecter, he did not blink, and that was a deliberate choice of his for the intensity of it. So I wonder if that was something she knew from that, or just coincidentally. But very cool.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about Jonas is obviously he's super tall. He plays Chewbacca. He's 6'11". So the question is he going to play Lurch in Wednesday season 2? Wednesday season 1, Lurch was played by the actor George Burcia, Burcia, Burcea. He did a good job. He was there just as kind of like, hey, I'm a person in the show, but like he didn't, I think, have a highlight role. But supposedly he's only about 6 feet tall. So if they're bringing in Jonas, you're getting another 11 inches.
Well,
you're such a
oh, that's a clip.
I'm so sorry, Jonas. I am so sorry. No, but you're getting a super tall person. So I'm interested to see who Jonas is playing because he is towards the bottom of the list that then goes into the 2 Festers, Fred and then Christopher. So is he playing a different type of character? Is he playing Lurch? Who's he playing? But I'm just pumped for him to now. He's in 2 series now. He's in The Acolyte and he's in this.
Right. Did Lurch have? I mean, Lurch never has a big role, but was Lurch involved a lot in season 1 of Wednesday?
Not really. Thing was the big kind of original Addams Family character that you see a lot in the series. You see her parents. Yeah. Oh yeah. He's the best thing. You want to see an awesome clip, John? Google, after we're done recording, of course, Google Thing hand actor. They had a guy walking next to her on the ground with like a green screen arm on.
Oh,
that's like a real hand. And then they also had a remote one. It was one of the funniest things ever. So like a lot of the scenes, they have Jenna Ortega like sitting on a table or sitting at a table or on a chair or whatever. And then you just see this guy like this. He's like got his hand up, like sitting next to her.
Oh, so
Thing is one of the best parts of the season, of season 1.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm looking at the casts right now on Wikipedia, which we know is always the official, but it says for all the main Addams Family, like Catherine Zeta-Jones as Morticia, it says season 2, guest season 1. So they weren't really in the show a lot. The family wasn't in season 1 a lot.
So the story is, for people that don't know, that people are understanding, how does this fit into the lore of Addams Family? This is Wednesday does some terrible stuff to his school, like to some kids that were bullying her brother, Pugsley. And so she gets sent away to a boarding school. Nevermore.
Jonas is playing Lurch. You
think so?
Yeah.
I think that he is. And if he is, I'm so hyped for him. Because that's like such a classic, iconic role for him to play. So now he's done Lurch and Chewbacca. Like, what is happening?
I'd be very surprised if he was playing anyone else. Unless they're doing a Lurch expanded, universe where it's like his cousin shows up and they're all butlers or whatever. But I think that'd be awesome. Yeah, to see him playing Lurch. I think that's cool. Because that's, Lurch isn't, doesn't have a ton of dialogue, but it would be funny to see Jonas walk up going, "You rang,"
Yeah.
So
I would love that for him. So we're rooting for you, Jonas. We hope that it happens.
Dan-a-lan-lan.
Speaking of someone that's also kind of tall,
Me.
kind of a big guy. You are tall, actually.
Hmm.
You are a tall person.
But Jonas is 10 inches bigger than me.
Yeah. Oh, are we not joking anymore?
Oh. It's not funny, okay?
Just whatever. All right.
Right.
Speaking of another big person, as in everyone's favorite football player right now, at least to the Swifties, Travis Kelce has been cast in Ryan Murphy's FX series Grotesquerie, I'm assuming, which I have to laugh. Someone did make the joke online, which I feel like Travis would appreciate this. Is someone was like, he's starring in a show that he can't even spell and or say. So for those of you that don't know, before Travis got, put up into the stratosphere of popularity because of his girlfriend Taylor Swift, obviously he's a big football player, but people went back in his tweets from like years and years and years ago because the internet is forever, and found a tweet about him feeding a squirrel and he didn't know how to spell squirrel. So it's turned into this big joke now that like he doesn't know how to spell. And like recently he did his podcast, New Heights, where he had to try to spell it and he couldn't do it. So someone made the joke like he's starring in the show and doesn't even know how to spell the show. But anyway, so he's been super popular this year, obviously with his high profile relationship with Taylor Swift and winning the Super Bowl again, by his own hard work and hustle. Everybody has to give him credit there, but he also has been hustling in his acting and high profile life of being in the spotlight. He has made it very clear that he wants to be an actor. He wants to take on Hollywood, and he's doing it. He signed with CAA last year, and now he is making that move. So he currently has been a part of a Catching Kelce, which was like a dating show that he was on years ago, which I'm tempted to watch just to see what it was about. But he was on that, which you can watch, I think, right now, currently on Peacock, if you're interested. But he did just sign on to host Amazon's Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity game show, which is also funny based on his spelling past.
Smart of him to
jokes.
host it, so he
Yes.
knows the answers. He has the
Well, I
answers.
think they're also poking fun at that kind of meme that went
Right.
crazy about the whole squirrel thing. He's also, of course, has one of the top podcasts right now in the world with New Heights, which is hosted by him and his brother, Jason Kelce. But he is signing on to the scary show Grotesquerie with, I believe she's from Reno 911, right? I'm not like going crazy. This is the same person?
Who, Niecy Nash?
Yeah, Niecy Nash. Isn't she from Reno 911?
I think she is from Reno 911.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
like the hilarious
is.
woman with like the
Yeah.
curls and
Yeah.
yeah. So funny. She is so funny.
Yeah,
She's an Emmy Award winner, and she is the lead character of this upcoming show, which we don't know much about. Ryan Murphy did tease it with a kind of like voicemail sounding video with just the black text on the screen of her being like, I don't know what's going on. I've never thought, the world would be this bad. And it's supposed to be a drama. It sounds like she might be a cop in the show because she talks about a crime scene in the teaser clip. But yeah, everyone's going nuts because she did post clips on Instagram with Travis, saying, hey, guess who's stepping into a new world with me? And it's Travis behind her being like, yay. And then he shared it on his Instagram. So now everyone's going nuts.
I mean,
What do you think, John?
So it's listed as a horror show, and I know Ryan Murphy, created American Horror Story. Is it connected to that or no?
Yes, I believe it's in the same universe.
Because it's
but
FX. Yeah.
yeah, but at the same time, I don't know. He's kind of weird because obviously Ryan Murphy, his big kind of thing before American Horror Story is, I would say, is probably Glee. Glee was his first show that like really took off and went bananas, and everyone loved Glee. And then he moved on to American Horror Story. But I don't know if it's in the same like universe, but it's definitely seems that way. But American Horror Story is its own thing. I think this is something different. That's why I said I feel like it's a cop show and not a part of American Horror Story, but it's in the same vein as the stuff that he does for those shows.
I don't love this just because it's just another spot where I need to just avoid Travis Kelsey, and it's just like it's getting hard to keep track. But
Yeah.
I mean, look.
Why
he-
are you hating on him, by the way? That
It's
was such
not
like
that.
a
It's not
hater.
that. No. It's not hate. It's just I like to be able to control whether I see news about somebody or not, and it's like I feel like it's impossible to avoid it in that way. So it's becoming almost too much, and it's died down since the Super Bowl. But I,
Mhm.
I mean, he's one of the best tight ends in football, maybe ever. He's a exceptional football player, and good for him for he probably never podcasted before. They have a very successful podcast. So I mean, give it a shot. Take your swing. You're dating the biggest pop star in the world. Like he's on top of it right now at 35 years old. Like trying all these different things. So I'm happy for him in that regard. I just wonder, is Ryan Murphy like a huge Chiefs fan, or is this going to be a
He
small
puts Kim
role?
Kardashian in his stuff. Kim Kardashian's in a couple things for Ryan Murphy.
Oh, is she? Yeah, because I was gonna
Yeah.
say, like, is he gonna play like a bartender in a scene, or is he actually gonna like really have to?
I think he's gonna die. I think he's gonna get killed in some horrific way
Okay,
and get his moment.
interesting.
Yeah, because
I
they've had some guest stars on a lot of stuff. Like, he gave Lady Gaga her first shot on American Horror Story, and Lady Gaga went on to win an Oscar.
Yeah. Well, also that's a good point. But she didn't win. Wait a minute. She didn't win an acting Oscar though. She won a music Oscar,
But
right?
she starred in a movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, like, she went in to star in the movie that she won the Oscar for, but she didn't win for acting, but she was still nominated.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Good. I mean, that's fair. That's absolutely fair.
Which that was a
I
wild season, by the way.
I'm not going to compare Lady Gaga to Travis Kelsey though. But
Oh my god, the hate is real.
no,
You
but
don't
from
you don't know what he's capable of. You don't
an
know.
artistic perspective, are we really making that comparison? Like
Well, it's
the
a
guy's
different kind of talent, right? It's,
well, we've heard him sing. He can't do that. We've heard that.
football is a
Um,
different type of talent than obviously making music and singing and stuff.
but I'll say this: Ryan Murphy has been around a while, and it's not stupid to put someone who's very popular in your show because
Which
in
is
this day
funny
and
because
age
his
where
first show was named Popular, Ryan Murphy's, which I loved, by the way.
and then he did like Nip Tuck. Yeah, he's done a lot. But I guess my
I've
point is,
watched. Yeah, go ahead.
if you need to cut corners and maybe not, give a role to say a struggling actor or whatever, because you want people to watch your show in this day and age, I think all bets are off. They're scrambling to figure out what people are watching. Attention spans are smaller. People are dropping cable left and right, even though streaming is becoming cable again, it seems like,
Yeah, it is.
with the Max and Disney merger now. It's wild. I can't keep track, honestly. But I guess my
Yeah.
point is, if you can find a way to get more people getting their eyeballs on the TV to watch this, and if people will tune in who wouldn't have because they like Travis Kelce, maybe some of them because of Taylor Swift, I probably would have done the same thing. So I can't hate on it. But Lacey, you know who my favorite actor is. Who's my favorite
Hold on.
actor?
I think we do have to admit, though, that Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift generated more than $330 million in the NFL. So if you're Ryan Murphy and you're trying to get people to tune in,
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
who's my favorite actor of all time?
I have no idea. Who's your favorite actor of all time?
Harrison Ford.
Oh, okay.
Never won an Oscar. Now,
It's true.
if this buffoon somehow parlays this,
Why is he a buffoon? Why
I mean,
is he
well,
a buffoon?
he has buffoonish tendencies. That's all I'm saying. He acts a little goofy. So
He's like a golden retriever person. Like, he's a
yeah,
golden retriever. He's like a nice guy. Like, why is he a buffoon?
golden retrievers are buffoons a little bit, but
I think I'm catching you on a kind of a mean comment.
no, I don't know. Buffoon isn't that bad to me.
Okay, let's
Buffoon
look
gets
up
a
the
bad rap.
definition of buffoon.
It gets a bad rap.
Buffoon.
People need to start using buffoon more in a lighter sense. But I guess what I'm saying is, imagine this guy parlays this into another role and another role, and all of a sudden Travis Kelce is an actor, sort of like Dave Bautista, the wrestler. He's doing like these serious roles.
Dave is
Imagine,
amazing, though.
imagine we live in a world where Travis Kelce wins an Oscar and Harrison Ford doesn't.
I think Travis wouldn't want to live in that world either, to be honest.
Oscar winner Travis Kelce.
I
I'd throw
look,
up.
I hope for everybody's success and what they want to do in life, and if that's what he's trying to do, go for it, man. I'm all for it. I'll be right there rooting for you. But by the way, buffoon is a noun, and it's a ridiculous but amusing person, a clown.
Boom. Tell
So
me that
call
guy's
him
not a buffoon.
calling him a clown. I would say Jason Kelce is more of a buffoon than Travis Kelce.
Well, it
Jason,
depends on how much booze is in him. Did you see him at that parade?
how about the game where he took his shirt off and jumped out of the like VIP box? That was
Or
hilarious.
how about when he lashed out on his coach and almost knocked him over? That was a little concerning.
Okay, we're talking about two different brothers now. Jason jumped out. Travis
Oh, I'm
lashed
talking about
out.
Travis. Yeah, Travis.
No,
Subject
Jason
to-
jumped out at his brother's game out of the box.
I can see
with his shirt
Jason
off.
winning an Oscar.
Really?
Yeah.
Jason's now a correspondent for ESPN, so I don't think that's going to happen. He's going a different route.
Hmm.
But anyway, I wish hope, love, success.
I do
for
too. I'm
either of
having
them.
fun with it. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see what they make of it. But if Travis Kelce wins an Oscar, I'm going to jump off a bridge. Probably. I don't know.
Oh, stop. Okay, well, speaking of Harrison Ford, there was an announcement this week that Michelle Yeoh is going to star in the Blade Runner 2099 sequel series for Prime Video. Prime's been killing it lately with these sci-fi things. They've figured out their algorithm, and it's people like sci-fi.
Man.
So they don't have many details about the series right now, but she is going to star in it. So yeah, what do you think, John? Are you going to watch it?
I probably will. I love the first Blade Runner. And as big of a Harrison Ford and even Ryan Gosling fan as I am, I had a tough time with 2049. I know it's visually beautiful, but
It's
like
slow. It's
it
definitely
is
slow.
slow. And when you have kids, and the only time you get to watch this stuff is late at night, it's just like it's tough. So that's not necessarily my favorite. I know it's great. I know people love it. Don't hate me because I'm saying that. But Michelle Yeoh's a great actor. I love her in Crazy Rich Asians, among other things she's done. Obviously, Crouching Tiger, and she's I think she was in Shang-Chi also. But and Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like she's in
Oscar winner.
a lot of
Yeah.
great stuff. And she's in her 60s and like seemingly entering this weird prime. It's so awesome to see. So I will check it out. The only thing that concerns me is when you have like these big movies, and I know Blade Runner 2049 didn't make a ton of money, but it's a big movie. It's a Denis Villeneuve movie. Ridley Scott, the first Blade Runner, big movie. This now it's a sequel series. I feel like it can't do anything but not live up to the grandness and spectacle of those movies. Just based on how TV is. I watched the Mr. and Mrs. Smith TV show with Donald Glover, and I enjoyed it, but I'm like, not as big as that movie was. It's fun, it's different. So I'm just not sure what this is going to be, but I'll check it out. What do you think?
I don't know if I'm going to check it out, to be honest. There's so many things on my to be watch list, which we're going to get into in our next segment as well, that it's a tough landscape out there. You got to pick and choose what you're watching, and my list is getting longer and longer. Bridgerton's about to come out, season 3. I've been waiting for that. I have a list of rom-coms I got to catch up on, and plus I also, which we'll get into later in the show, just got into Fallout. So I feel like if I have to choose one thing, it's probably not going to be this. I might give it one episode because it's Michelle Yeoh and she's epic and one of the best actors ever to exist. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of Blade Runner. I think I was on the same vein as you. I thought it was beautiful. Beautiful
the
movie.
sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2049. It was very slow. I thought Dave Bautista stole it for me. I thought he was amazing. Ryan Gosling, always good as well. The lighting and the cinematography for that movie was the highlight.
Mhm.
It felt like I was watching one big, beautiful cinematography reel, and that's what I appreciated it for.
Mhm.
I didn't really get into the story, but that's just me.
Yeah. And
And
this
I
is gonna
just
be
don't like Jared Leto. I'm gonna be honest. Not a big Jared Leto fan, which surprisingly, I should be a fan because they announced this week that they wrapped on Tron 3, which stars Jared Leto. So I might have to suffer through that because I like Tron.
I still get a kick out of Jeff Bridges on one of those actors roundtables made a joke about being sucked into a video game, and like
With Pedro, nobody caught it. It was right over their head.
Pedro and Kieran Culkin, like they didn't get it until it was too late to get it. And he's like,
Right?
Tron, man. And they're like, oh
I got
yeah, Tron. He's like, yeah, man.
because they were talking about Last of Us, and Pedro was like, "Yeah, it's a video game." He's like, "I was on a video game once." He was like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "I got sucked into one," and it's just crickets.
Yeah.
It was
And they're
such a
like,
good
what game?
joke.
And he goes, Tron. And they're like, oh yeah, Tron. And he goes, right, man. Jeff Bridges is the dude. And I freaking
Oh
love that
my
guy.
gosh, he's the only person. Him and Jack Nicholson are the only people I've ever seen Jennifer Lawrence lose her cool over.
Oh,
She met
really?
Jeff
Oh,
Bridges at
yeah,
Comic-Con, and she
yeah.
lost it. Like, she
That's
was,
cool.
like, giggling and being like, "Oh my god, are you the dude?" Blah, 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 like, was freaking out next to
I
him.
would be like, dude, can I smoke a giant blunt with you?
Oh my god.
All right, let's go on
All right.
to we have another segment, don't we?
We do. What's it called?
I'm not saying it, you say it this time.
Trailer time.
Oh god, I love that movie.
All right, trailer time. Now it's been out for a little while now, but your very brief thoughts on the new teaser that came out for Deadpool and Wolverine. I know you're excited about this movie. I know you like Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman
Mhm.
back as Wolverine. You were the one who quote tweeted this from our Nerdy Nice account with that very popular bro phrase. So
Let's
let's
effing go. Know
effing
who would say
go.
that
Yeah,
phrase? You know who has said that phrase?
Tom Brady.
Travis Kelce.
I mean, he took it from Tom Brady probably, but
Oh yeah, Tom Brady's the gift that everybody always uses, right?
I mean, his podcast is called Let's Go, I think. And
Oh
he
yeah,
always like would
maybe.
say that. And then
By the way, did you see the roast of Tom Brady on
I did
Netflix?
see the roast of Tom
Oh
Brady.
my god, it was so good.
Too long.
Nikki Glaser killed it. She was the best person
She
on it.
was very good.
She killed it.
3 hours though.
It was a lot.
That is a lot. Yeah.
But you have to think that they recorded the whole thing, but people are there drinking, having food, like, it's a whole
Mhm.
thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, her jokes about, like, Kevin Hart killed.
There
Killed.
were I mean, some of the they went for it, like the Aaron Hernandez jokes and the
Oh,
holy
yeah.
cow.
Yeah. But back to this.
Yeah.
Yes, I did quote tweet it with "Let's effing go"
Yep.
because it is the perfect phrase for Wolverine, but this teaser trailer stuck out to me because it uses one of my favorite artists of all time in a actual perfect way. I've complained before about how they use Bohemian Rhapsody and Suicide Squad. As soon as that trailer came out, when they used that song, I wanted to punch something because I was like, great, now everybody's going to say this is their favorite song. Then also The Hangover used this song, and I was like, oh, now everybody's going to like the song. Look, I love Phil Collins. This song is so good, and I have to laugh because there was a joke online recently, I would say in the past few years, that they say that every movie will take this song that is not overly epic cinematic, like 80s rock song, 90s rock song, and then we'll make it into this for a trailer, and they did exactly that, and I can only think that the reason they did it is because of that joke. Ryan Reynolds was like, "What if we took Phil Collins, made it
Oh,
cinematically
probably.
like
Yeah, yeah,
epic?"
good point.
Because Ryan Reynolds is so tuned in, and for people that don't know, Ryan Reynolds does a lot of his own marketing. Like, he has a very big say in, like, how he markets his companies and what he posts online and just the tone of everything. Like, Deadpool's tone, I think, is just Ryan Reynolds. Like, he is Deadpool. I could never see
Yeah.
anybody else be Deadpool. But yeah, the trailer looks super fun. I can't wait for this movie, John. We're gonna go see this, I think. Let's go
I
see
would
that.
love to. Yeah, July 26th. This teaser in particular, I feel like even though, it had the Phil Collins and it's Deadpool, I feel like it had more of a serious tone or
It
dramatic
did.
tone to it.
It did.
Like in a good way. Like when I heard Wolverine was coming back for this, I thought it was going to be a lot like how Wolverine and Hugh Jackman have been incorporated into Deadpool in the past, which is just sort of like this fake rivalry between Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, sort of breaking the fourth wall. But it really seems like there's going to be consequence and impact from what these two characters do in this movie. And I've heard people speculate, like there's that shot of them jumping through the ring, that they're gonna disrupt the timeline of Endgame, and there's a lot that could happen in this movie, and it would be the most perfect thing and smart thing for Kevin Feige to do now that they've brought Deadpool into the um, Disney Marvel universe. Before it was Fox, so he wasn't connected. Now they can connect him, and imagine Deadpool of all characters being the one to like either reset or change the course of the timeline
To
for the
save Tony
MCU.
Stark.
I mean, and having Hugh Jackman's Wolverine involved, this is one of those movies where I am overhyping it, and that could be a mistake.
I'm definitely overhyping.
But let's not forget, you got Sean Levy directing it. He has a lot at stake. He has that Star Wars movie he's saying he's working on. We know what happens with Star Wars directors if they put out a stinker. So there's a lot riding on this movie. I think it's going to make a ton of money. I agree with you 100%. I agree with you that I think we should go see this.
We're going first night it's out. Like we're going like that night.
Well, unless we have to podcast that night. But
no, we're going to move our podcast because we're going.
We're going to move it. All right. We're going to cancel the whole podcast. That's it. Just for this. But
I can feel it come. No. Okay.
I did like how this teaser raised the stakes and made it feel like there's some consequence and like you need to see this movie to see what happens to Wolverine or what happens to Deadpool. I think, yeah, and Deadpool had its serious moments, the love story and everything, but I do think this one is going to be a little heavier than I initially thought with the first teasers, I guess. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, in Deadpool 2, Vanessa, spoiler alert, Vanessa dies, and then he gets the time thing from Cable, who's played by Josh Brolin. And at the end of the movie, in the end credits, they fix it because it was destroyed. And then they're like, here you go. And they're like, thanks so much. And he leaves. And then they're like, maybe we shouldn't have done that. Like they set it up that they're like, oh no, what have we done? Because it's the whole kind of butterfly effect thing where it's like you change one thing, it changes the course of history.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't help but notice that there is a shot in here that I didn't notice at first until I was rewatching this today. There's a shot of him in the TVA from the Loki series. Now, if anybody's watched yeah, so he's standing there with the guy from Succession. Oh, what's his name? He plays Mr. Darcy. I'm forgetting his name. I know him as Mr. Darcy, but he's like the guy you like from Succession. Tom from Succession.
Oh, I was like, who's Mr. Darcy? Yeah, Matthew
McFadden.
Yeah.
McFadden. Yes. He's in there in the TVA talking to
Ryan
Reynolds,
cool.
Talking to Wade. So I think he's showing Wade, like, this is what you've done. Look at all the screens. Look at all the changes you've made in the course of history.
Who the hell's Mr. Darcy then?
Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice?
Oh, yeah, I don't know what that is. Yeah.
It's like one of the greatest literary characters of all time that he's pretty much famous for playing.
I know he was in Pride and Prejudice.
He played Darcy across from Keira Knightley's Elizabeth Bennet. That's like one of his biggest roles he's ever done.
Yeah, I remember him being big. I just didn't know the name of the character. I have no interest.
Oh my
God. Yeah. I tried to watch that.
Okay. Most of modern love stories, like enemies to lovers stories, are based on Mr. Darcy. Just a heads up. No, I definitely is. He's a literary hero. Anyway, so he's standing there with Ryan Wade, Deadpool, in the TVA. So I think they're, like you said, John, you make a great point. I think he's showing the consequences because on the screen is Iron Man, the Hulk, and Thor.
Yeah.
So I
And
think
there's a
you're going to
scene.
see big things here.
There's a scene that looks like, Logan's crying, and there's a scene that looks like he's going through some sort of like vision. This teaser. I think people slept on this one a little bit because they're already like ready to go. Like they don't need any more clips. This
Right.
added an element to this movie that makes me even more interested from that serious perspective. I still want it to be zany, goofy, raunchy, disgusting, Deadpool, but keep the heart and keep the serious stuff at just enough. I
It's
think
gonna
we're
get
in good
dark
shape.
though, because the main villain she is no joke. She will kill
Mm.
anybody. Like she's known as a character to kill anybody at any time. Cassandra Nova. She's the sister of Professor Charles Xavier, the bald chick.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So she's been known in the comics to like do anything she wants, kill anybody she wants. So a lot of fans are like freaking out because they're like, "Oh my god, who is she going to murder? Like what kind of chaos is she going to cause over the course of this movie because she doesn't care. She has nothing to lose, so to speak."
What if again? Now we're entering wild speculation. So if they're bringing in her
Mhm.
as this villain, and we've heard rumblings that they're going to create the MCU version of the X-Men because the X-Men haven't
Mhm.
been in the MCU yet.
And they're doing
What?
the Fantastic Four now.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, what if they jump through? Because Doctor Strange's portals had to do with time, right? Am I wrong on that?
So time or just
Space?
dimensions?
Yeah.
Space and time
Like,
dimensions, yeah.
what if they jump through this and Wolverine is younger and that's how they start the new MCU X-Men? I don't know.
Well,
It's
remember when he died in Logan, they told him, they said, or Hugh Jackman said, I'm done with Wolverine. And I remember someone asked him at a press conference, would you ever do it again? And he goes, well, Marvel knows my number. Like he made it
yeah.
clear that he
I
was
think he
like,
missed it. Yeah.
if he got called in for the Avengers or specifically for Deadpool, he would do it.
Oh, and that character's Xavier's twin.
Yeah. And I believe I don't know the full story on her. I'm going to be completely honest because I'm not, deep into the comics. I just know from my own knowledge and doing research, but I'm pretty sure she killed Charles in the womb or something in one of the comics, like in
Uh,
another universe or
so
something.
this is what I have here. Check this out. This is nerdy as it gets. While still in the womb together, Charles Xavier recognized his sister's evil presence
Mm-hmm.
and he killed her, resulting in
Mm-hmm.
her stillbirth.
Mm-hmm.
The Mumandrai that became Cassandra became telepathically entangled with Charles, granting Cassandra some psionic powers herself, including the ability to exit the womb and create a body with which she sought revenge on Xavier. Holy
Yeah. So she's coming in as like this dark,
Who's
like
playing
John,
her?
you constantly talk. I believe it's the girl that just played Princess Diana. Is that the same girl? Who's playing her? I'm blank right now. No, Emma Corrin. Yes, Emma Corrin. Didn't she just play? She did. She played Princess Diana in The Crown.
Emma Corrin. Hmm.
Um, she's
All right.
very, very good. But the idea that they're bringing her in is just, bringing the whole X-Men thing full circle, right? It's like bringing Wolverine, you bring in her. She's evil, evil, evil. So
No, you
yeah.
gotta have a formidable villain to sell your story. So
Well, that's what I was gonna say, is you're always talking about with Star Wars specifically, like, they have a villain problem. Marvel does not.
no,
So,
e-
they could pull
especially with
anybody in.
and they could even parlay her into what their plans are for the Avengers because what's his name's gone now because he
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause he's an idiot. Yeah.
beat up women or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's are up on time a little bit. Let's move on to a guy we haven't talked about in a long time. Glen Powell
We really
is.
haven't talked about him. I wonder what he's doing. What is he doing, John?
I think he is following the footsteps of the late great Bill Paxton in
Mhm.
a sequel, I guess, to Twister called Twisters. Did you check out this trailer? I knew
I
that
did.
Let me tell you this real quick, and then I want to get your takes first. I
Yes.
knew that this movie existed, but then I'm sitting there with my son watching the sitting for this Phantom Menace, and this trailer comes on, scares the hell out of Johnny. He thinks like a real tornado is
Oh.
going to come into the theater. So I'm like, Johnny, it's just a
Oh,
movie.
no.
Don't worry. And so we were off to a rocky start with the Phantom Menace, but we
Oh,
recovered.
no.
But on the big screen, Lacey, with the sound, this trailer blew me away. So I want to hear your
This is
thoughts.
another one that we got
Yeah.
to see when it comes out. You
Yeah,
and
so
me
what-
gonna go see this. I remember seeing the original. I've seen it a couple times, specifically like the cow shot where the cow goes by the
That's
car.
a fun movie.
Yeah. The stupidest thing though is the belt thing at the end. I still stand
Fair.
by that.
Fair.
Belt thing really bothers me.
And the
Like
pipe.
it just
Yeah.
it just builds and builds and builds, and then they're like, this belt will save us. And then you see footage online of like how these terrible tornadoes are going across the US right now. There's no way someone's getting by with a belt. So it just went a little too far. A little
Did
too much.
have Mythbusters tried it?
Did they? Did they do okay?
It sounds. I don't know. I'm saying that sounds like a
Oh, I don't
perfect thing for them to have tried. I would like to know
I
if
don't
you
know.
could actually survive with a leather belt.
I'm like blushing watching this trailer with Glen Powell smiling at me.
What?
Anyway, he's just
I'm not
smiling
seeing
on the
this movie
trailer.
with you.
I just started blushing as he's doing that stupid smile when he rolls up the window. Anyway, yes, I'm very excited for this movie for Glen Powell and Glen Powell only. He plays like the typical like, I'm a cowboy.
Wait a
And you're
minute.
like, okay,
Is Glenn Powell the new McConaughey? Is that what's happening?
I think so. Oh my god, that caught me so off guard. I gotta turn this trailer off.
I've never
Whew.
had that effect on any woman in my life, and I never will.
Oh my god. No, it looks really fun. It's got the guy, it's got Ramos. What's his name? Oh my god, I'm blanking on all the names tonight. Go ahead, John. You tell me what you think about the trailer.
Well, I'm glad I got to see it for the first time on the big screen because that's where you want to see this movie. And the special effects looked on another level. Like I still think the special effects from Twister were good, and that movie came out 28 years ago. So, which is wild to even think about.
David Cornsweat's in this.
Is he?
Yeah, he's in it, and Katie O'Brien, who's someone we know from Star Wars, is also in it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Katie O'Brien. I see Daisy Edgar Jones and Kiernan Shipka. She's from Mad Men. Anthony Ramos. Yeah, Glen Powell leading the show here. I wonder though if any of these Maura Tierney's in it. I wonder if any of these people are like the daughter of like
I
Bill
think she
Paxton's
is.
character.
I think she is the daughter of him and the wife.
And Helen Hunt,
because she's in the newsroom tracking these things.
Mhm.
And remember that was kind of like Helen Hunt's character. And then
Yeah.
Bill Paxton was the wild guy that's like chasing the storms. And then, they meet because they work together on these things. But it sounds like she has a tragic backstory where she went and chased a storm and then got her whole crew killed or something like that.
Oh.
So then she's like, I gave up that game. Dun, dun, dun. And it's like, okay, who's going to bring her back out? Of course, Glen Powell, the crazy, wild Southern boy that likes to like chug beers and like flip off tornadoes or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's sort of old school in that way. And I'm looking
I love it.
Yeah, so I mean, the story comes from Joseph Kosinski, who obviously did Top Gun Maverick and directed Top Gun Maverick.
Yes.
But directing it is Lee Isaac Chung. So they got a powerhouse team here. I think it's going to be a good movie.
I think so too, because people have been saying like, oh, it's going to be bad, like the immediate reaction. I think it's going to be awesome. You know why? Because it is coming with the same level of serious action, romance, and comedy as Top Gun Maverick. And if you love Top Gun Maverick and you had a good feel movie, which by the way, biggest fan of feel good movies, will take them all day over serious gritty stuff. Life stinks sometimes and all you want to do is go to the movie and have a good time or smile when Glen Powell smiles at you while turning up a window. That's all you want in life. And so this movie is on par with that. And I think it's going to be a blast. I can't wait to go see it. Like, this is a summer blockbuster. This is the kind of movie that I've been missing. I'm going to be
No,
honest.
yes, I agree.
I
This
think
is
things have been so serious. Like, everything is so serious all the time. Like, this looks like it's just going to be a fun movie.
yeah, I agree with you. And it's coming out man, July 19th. So we go Twisters right into Deadpool.
We're hanging on
Yeah,
a lot.
she's playing Kate Daisy Edgar Jones playing Kate Cooper, and I don't know.
Are you going to look up the names of Helen? Are you doing some FBI work right now?
Yeah, Helen Hunt's name in Twisters is Joe Harding, and Bill Paxton's name was Bill, but I don't know if did they say his last name? I don't remember. But anyway, it's probably gonna be something like that because they did show the Dorothy device, like an updated version
Right.
of it, and how like their old school ways work just as well as the new technologies and stuff. It's that sort of like the humble guy beats it. It's a John Henry type story with Twister, and I like that. That's how the first Twister was. They're probably not going to break formula too much. It's smart to do that. We've seen very successful sequels follow the path while being organic. So I'm interested. And I'm there. So we have one more teaser to talk about before we quickly give you what we're watching in our final segment. But the last one, Lacey, Cobra Kai final season, I believe 6th season. And I think they're making a movie thereafter. And so this comes out July 18th. So all these things we're talking about between
No.
July 18th and July 26th.
3 parts. July 18th, November 28th, and then part 3, the finale, doesn't come out till 2025. And this is my rant.
I see.
Netflix, what are we doing? I don't even remember what happened in Cobra Kai because they split it up so much that I have no idea. And it makes me so angry because
Yeah.
this cast is the most genuine, heartwarming, wonderful cast that like got their second chance. And this show has been amazing. I have no idea what happened. I have no idea.
I fell off after season 4.
I don't know because they split it up and they're like, see you in 6 months. And it's like, okay, well, or no, sorry, let me see you in 9 months. And I'm like, oh, wait, I've had a child in that time frame. So I have no idea what happened to Cobra Kai.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
Makes me angry.
I felt that way a little bit about Stranger Things. I'm like, I just finished the damn show, and I know it's the strikes and all that stuff, but I get back into it once it comes out, and then once I watch it, then it goes away. And like these things
Sure.
don't stay around for a long time. But a Cobra Kai for some reason, when I watched season 4, and like the kids are like in school or they're out at wherever, and they're like they just break out to these massive karate fights, and I'm just like,
It's so cool.
I feel like it
I love
has
it.
let me a little spicy. I feel like it may have overstayed its welcome.
I could see that. I mean, I blew through season 1. Season 1 is perfect. Perfection.
Yeah. I think the first couple
Season
seasons
2,
were
really
good.
great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it did get a little, but I think they leaned into that a little bit. I think they leaned into this is ridiculous, but it's also a karate show. Like,
'Cause
I like that the show didn't take itself too seriously.
I agree. But did this not? I believe this show started on YouTube's pay for service.
It did. And then it got basically bought by Netflix.
So they didn't think it was going to be anything, I think, that big. And then it goes viral because people are like, holy cow, Ralph Macchio, William Zabka.
But it's
like,
so well done. Like
No,
the
it is.
whole
I
stunt
agree.
work is amazing. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. So we'll see. I'm not that excited about it, but I'll watch it. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah. And I like the original Karate Kid. So any other thoughts on Cobra Kai?
Not really, but I know you said you won't be watching this probably, or maybe you will be, but what are you watching now?
We can never leave the house and would just probably sit around all weekend and watch TV.
Go on.
So, John, what you watching?
Lacey, can I tell
Why
you
did you
something?
take so long to say that?
Well, because this is going to upset people.
Oh, okay.
Can I tell you, I love Ghostbusters.
Oh, no. I know what you're about to say. Don't spoil it for me. I haven't watched it yet.
I'm not going to give spoilers, but I'm going to give a review, like a 2-minute review.
Okay.
I love the first Ghostbusters. I like to think that a lot of my sense of humor is inspired by Bill Murray.
You are Bill
I
Murray, yeah.
I love Ghostbusters 2. I remember seeing that in the theaters when I was like 6. I didn't like the SNL Ghostbusters. I thought that was a mistake. But I even liked Ghostbusters Afterlife, where they did the Spengler family and they tried to bring it back. I think we've reached the end. I look, I went online, bought the trap for it says Frozen Empire on it. Like I was all in. This movie is what people who hated The Rise of Skywalker falsely accused that movie of being. Way too many direct callbacks that beat you over the head.
Ugh.
Exposition of the story for well over an hour, and then before you know it, the movie's over. They didn't use the legacy characters enough, and I didn't like. There were too many characters where you couldn't even like develop stories for them, and it felt more like AI made this, and like you typed into AI, you're like, give me as many old Ghostbuster references as possible, and make the bad guy freeze things. And I went in knowing the reviews are bad, but fans liked it. So I went in with really low expectations too. And I tried my hardest to like this movie. And it's not a good movie.
Oh
And
no.
it's not. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is not good. And that breaks my heart to say it because I love Ghostbusters. I watched the real Ghostbusters cartoon as a kid, had the toys, the firehouse. I love Ghostbusters. So it like broke my heart to say that. And even Bill Murray's moments in this movie couldn't save it. He had a couple of like lines where I laughed, but it wasn't funny enough. Like Ghostbusters is supposed to be funny, and I feel like they're trying to turn it into this more legacy sequel franchise thing, and it was really never supposed to be serious, and it just wasn't funny enough, and there were too many characters, and I feel like the editing was bad, and they pushed when they should have pulled, and vice versa. I'm so upset. And for people who liked it, I hope that doesn't upset you too much. But I got to be honest, and I'm always going to be honest about my views. And I have to clearly say that I'm a big Ghostbusters fan since I was a little kid. So you're not getting a hater of the franchise who thinks it's ridiculous. It's just it's a big misfire, and you could tell that the heart of Ghostbusters was Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, and Ivan Reitman. And of course, Bill Murray, who replaced John Belushi, who died, who was supposed to be in it as Venkman. But without Ramis, and now Ivan Reitman's gone. I understand Jason Reitman's still there, but it's not the same. And I think Harold Ramis was a better writer than Dan Aykroyd. It's just, it's not good, and it's so upsetting.
I can't help but wonder if, similarly to the seemingly the Rise of Skywalker, from what rumors and a lot of rumblings that were going around, is that studios got too much involved. And we've heard from interviews with people in the industry on Resistance broadcast as well, is that studios get involved and they pick things apart, and you pick and choose your battles, and what could have been an amazing script gets torn apart because they're chasing, the Force Awakens sequel trilogy stuff, Marvel MCU, they're chasing Jurassic Park, they're chasing
Oh,
Barbie, whatever, because I know we talked about Deadpool earlier, but Deadpool's a really great example of marketing um, and quality story that then set off a cascade of other things within the industry where it was making so much money as a rated R comedy, that first one, that
yeah.
all the movies around it, like Suicide Squad, were like, man, we got to be like Deadpool. So then they recut the whole movie, supposedly. They recut all these things. They added in jokes. That didn't call for the Deadpool type jokes or the Deadpool type humor, which is specifically Ryan Reynolds. Now, I use that example of, maybe this is one of those movies that started off great, but got too many people involved and too many things got pulled apart. Because this is why I loved Afterlife. I thought it was great. And they were so confident about Afterlife that they played it at CinemaCon, and they played it early at several Comic Cons for fans to see, like 6 to 8 months in advance.
Yeah.
They did the same thing with Top Gun Maverick. They were so confident with Maverick, they showed the whole thing to all the critics and stuff at CinemaCon, like in April,
Yeah.
the year it was coming out. You have to have so much belief in something to do that, to test it on people that are going to talk about it. And I know they showed Afterlife to the audience at New York Comic Con before it came out. So the fact that they didn't do that with this says something. The fact that they weren't confident enough to just put it out there and let everybody think what they want. Because I feel like this movie came and went when they were building it up. Like it just kind of happened. It wasn't the buildup that the first one was.
Yeah, I think where they may have gone wrong is, Jason Reitman directed Afterlife, and his dad was still around for it, and he was there consulting and helping, so it had the feel, because directors have a certain feel, and Ivan Reitman knew how to balance the scariness and comedy of Ghostbusters in the first two, and you felt that in the third one a little bit, but this fourth one, they handed over the directing duties to the guy who co-wrote Afterlife, Gil Keenan, and you could just tell I didn't feel like I was watching a Ghostbusters movie.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from there's the firehouse and we're in the firehouse and there's the car Ecto one and that stuff, but
Yeah,
I'm so upset because I wanted to like it. So that's my take on that. And for what I want to watch, I'm going to turn to you because I'm excited to get into Fallout, which you've started. So I'll hand it over to you on what you're watching to close out the segment.
Do you know anything about Fallout?
I know it's based on a game
Video game,
and I
yep.
know Walter Goggins is in it, and I like him. That's all I know.
Yeah, so Fallout is based on a video game about kind of a nuclear world, post-apocalyptic dystopian world after, countries start bombing each other, nuclear bombs. And it's basically about what's left and what's after that. That's
Ooh.
what it's the Fallout. So I watched this show this past week, the first episode. So I haven't seen any more, but I just kicked it off with the first episode. I'm trying to pace myself a little bit so I get time to really enjoy it and not binge through it and like take things in and just think about them before I get to the next episode. The first episode was awesome. It was so, so good. I'm going to put a little bit of a disclaimer on it for most people. I don't know what the rating was on it because I didn't look, but it is very gory, as you would assume for a video game / post-apocalyptic show. Like it's very on vein with like Walking Dead, I would say, for gore. So be prepared for that. So if you don't
It's on
like that
Amazon?
stuff, yeah, it's on Amazon. Yep, Amazon Prime. So if you don't like that stuff, I wouldn't tune in. But other than that, it really sets up the story, the first episode, and really gets you thinking like, oh my God, who is this? Who is that? What does that mean? And the main character is someone that I would root for. So I'm looking forward to seeing where the story goes. And more importantly, John, I'm waiting for the next week when you've watched the episode that maybe we can discuss a little bit and see what you think.
I will check it out. When you have a family and 2 kids, who doesn't have
Yeah.
Prime? So
Yeah.
I
It's
will.
about 50 minutes, I think. So you could probably do it like late at night, one episode.
How many are
And
out?
I don't know offhand, unfortunately, but it wasn't something, because I know you've said this before, like with Baby Reindeer or whatever it was, that you felt leaving it, that you needed to watch something else. This show, you won't feel that way. You'll just kind of be like intrigued.
Yeah,
See
I'm
what-
excited I'm actually genuinely excited to start it. Yeah.
I'm excited to start Bridgerton season 3, which comes out soon. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I did finish The Circle, which is a social media reality TV game show. I was pumped about who won. So if you watch that and you want to talk about it, you can find me online.
Oh, so you got spoiled on that one?
No, I don't want to get spoiled.
Oh,
I
you
don't want
don't
to.
want to find out. I thought you said you found out.
I found out because I watched the finale. It just ended.
All right. Sorry, I'm
So I'm
working with
saying if-
one AirPod right now because we've been having so much fun recording that
We are.
my left AirPod died, so I'm charging that while keeping the other one in.
Yeah,
Anyway.
no worries. Anyway, that is it. So yeah, this is a super packed show for you guys.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Thank you to everybody for listening. Make sure you follow us on social media at Nerdy and Nice Pod, whether that's X, Instagram, Blue
Facebook.
Sky, TikTok. Are we on TikTok?
Not yet. We will be though. Probably
We
by the time
will
it
be.
airs.
And then, of course, your favorite podcast app. Just look us up, Nerdy and Nice Podcast. Keep it going. Like the episode, our first episode did so well. We want to see what happens with this one. Let's see. Can we beat 98? We'll see. But we hope
And
you enjoyed
tag
it.
Glen
more importantly,
Powell in
believe.
this episode.
Yeah, tag Travis Kelce. Tag everybody and let him know we're talking about him. Is Travis Kelce going to win an Oscar? Probably not. But imagine. And is Glen Powell like the new top dog in Hollywood? Wild. I'm rooting for it. But
Me
anyway,
too.
thank you so much for listening and watching and being a part of Nerding Out with us here on Nerdy and Nice. Make sure you also follow the Resistance Broadcast, our other podcast under the TRB banner. That's our Star Wars show, which airs live on Thursday nights at 8:30 p.m. East, and then on your podcast feeds either later that night or the next morning. So check us out there. And our patrons who support us here at TRB, our movie star generals. We got to give a shout out to them and our silver screen spice runners. But first, the generals: Carmelo, John Reese, Jetta Rosewater, Frank Grande, Nick Kratz, Chris Morales, Brian Smith, Danny, Mike Ramori, Brendan McLaughlin, Sneaky Zebra, Dave Hornack, and Jolton Jedi DiMaggio, and the Spice Runners: David Probus, Neil Shaw, Kendall Gellner, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, and the Fort Worthian, and all of our patrons. Go to patreon.com/TRB podcasts. We have our first mini episode based on Nerdy and Nice coming out this week about Superman. We wanted to get your thoughts and we react to those. So if you have been thinking about supporting us via TRB or Nerdy and Nice, check it out because our tiers are awesome and we appreciate the support. For me, social media at Johnny Hoey, and I also have a movie podcast called Just Like the Movies. That is the only podcast I don't do with Lacey right now. So, but Lacey, where can people find you and talk to you about how much Glen Powell makes you blush?
People can find me online at Lacey Gilleran, and on TikTok at It's Lacey Gilleran. And of course, during the week on Thursdays, soon to be Wednesdays when the Acolyte comes out on
Right.
the Resistance broadcast, our Star Wars podcast. Love you, Glen Powell.
All right, everybody. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Nerdy and Nice. Remember, Mondays are for the nerds, and we're going to keep it that way forever. So until next time, we'll see you around.